Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Johnny Breakdown for those of you that don't know me. I'm a freestyle footbag player. I come from the Detroit Footbag Club as well as the New York Footbag Association, also known as NYFA. I'm putting together a quick tutorial on how to do a rod laver freestyle footbag shoe modification for the toe box specifically. I've been to many events, competitions, jams, and kind of shared the modification with a bunch of my other shred mates. They've taken a liking to it and kind of asked me to post a video on how to mimic that as well, so that it can just be out there for all of you other footbag players to kind of pick and choose which modification works best for you. And this one works great for me. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, right here is a pair of my old rod lavers I haven't actually modded into the new modification, which I like to do, because I wanted to show a little bit of compare and contrast with the typical lace mod that most people do, and followed by the one that you're going to see in the next couple of minutes. So right here, this modification allows you to go into dorsiflexion, and when you do, you can see how the toe box opens up really wide, which is great. And these eyelets kind of will cradle the bag and give you a little bit more support with it. But unfortunately, with doing pixies and fairies, this kind of gets in the way and causes the bag to slur and shoot off to the side, or just allows it to stick a little bit more and can kind of hinder your performance during a mid-run or whatever trick you're trying. And so for me, with my new modification, I've kind of mitigated that, and I'll show you a few other shoes here in a second with different mods as well. Okay, right here is another pair of rod lavers with a different modification, and this one's a little bit more temporary than the last one. So as you can see right here, the eyelets are completely gone, which is nice. So when you go into dorsiflexion, you bring it up, say you're going to do a pixie or a fairy, you don't have to worry about the footbag getting snagged or slurring or having any problems. But unfortunately, you can't undo this. So you kind of sacrifice the shoe's integrity by making an incision and cutting this away. And if you get sick of it later on, well, you're kind of stuck. Right here is the third pair of footbag shoes I wanted to show you for the toe box modification. These are Quantums, and they are made and designed by freestyle footbag players for freestyle footbag players, which is nice. They have all the bells and whistles. Unfortunately, they're very hard to come by, but my modification is going to kind of replicate this toe box mod in such that it's going to be wide open. Additionally, the eyelets, as opposed to the lavers I showed you earlier, they're recessed further back, so you don't have to worry about the footbag getting stuck, slurring it, or doing pixies, fairies, whatever the case may be. And additionally, when you go into dorsiflexion, they're still laying flat, so that's kind of a nice perk about them. Alright, so right here are my freestyle shoes that I use for practice and for competition. You could look at the toe box and see the modification that I made with these. Over on the side, I use a wire wrap. It goes from the outside to the inside and holds down those eyelets that were previously shown, pulled and opened apart by the shoelaces on the sides when people would kind of separate them. This is kind of nice because you don't have to worry about making an incision or cutting the eyelets out and sacrificing the integrity of the shoe. If you want, you can always undo it and do a different modification or whatever the heart desires, but right here, this is kind of nice because it's not so permanent. Additionally, you can see that toe box is wide open. It's also kind of nice to have the shoelaces starting in a more conventional factor, and for me personally, I like this. So you can kind of crisscross them and decide the tension that you want all the way from the toes up to the top of the ankle. And with the other shoe modifications, for example, right here, a lot of people use the laces to kind of spread and pull the toe box wide open, and that'll kind of limit the amount of tension that you can choose to have it around your foot throughout the whole way through. To give a little comparison with the Quantums, you can see how the toe box is similar where it's wide open. The eyelets are recessed further back, and additionally they're not sticking up really high like the others that have flanges when they kind of conflict with certain toe tricks. So this is really nice. Additionally, you can see how I mentioned the laces start from the bottom of the toe box and works their way up to the top of the ankle. Same here. Alright, so now that we looked at a few pairs of rod laver shoes with different modifications that different players use from all over the community, also comparing and contrasting that with the Quantums and to my shoes that I currently shred with in competition, So I'm going to give you a new pair of shoes. We're going to do this modification, and I also have a new trick that I think is going to help to expedite this and make it a little bit easier for a lot of you out there that choose to follow this mod. Alright, for basic supplies, all I think you're going to need would be a pair of needle nose pliers, a lighter, a screwdriver that's really tiny, a paint marker or an ink pen, and some zip ties. I used to use wire wrap for my modification, but now I think using a zip tie might be a little bit easier. But if you don't have zip ties, the wire wrap I used would be anywhere from 18 to 20 or 22 gauge. Alright, so the first mod that we need to do to these shoes would be taking these eyelets. You can see right here, these actually have the steel in there and the support around on both sides. So we need to actually just remove one from each side of the shoe on both of the shoes, so in total 4. The pliers that I mentioned, these are what you're going to use to kind of pull the eyelets out because they're made of steel. You kind of want to crimp around them. You're going to bend them right around the sides, and then you're going to just kind of pull them through. So just be careful with that. Alright, now that you removed the eyelets from the shoe, what you're going to have to do is take a marker and you're going to put a dot right here and a dot right here on the shoe. You can see that there's a box kind of outlining with the threads, so I kind of say the furthest most inner corner on the shoe, and additionally you see the threads going across from the box right there on that side as well. So flip the shoe over, same thing on this side, you see the threads on the outside, put a dot right there, and then also further down put it on the innermost corner there with a red dot, just so you can line it up when we put the zip ties in. Alright, so now what you need is the screwdriver and a lighter. And you're going to take the screwdriver right here, you're going to heat up the end of it, make it really hot, and you're going to find those nice little red dots you put on with a marker, and we're going to take the screwdriver and put it right through the shoe as opposed to using a knife or something that's going to cut a slit or cause the threads to shear all the way down, and that would be more damaging. In this case, you could just take the piping hot screwdriver up to the material of the shoe, it goes right through. Nice, easy, slick dots. There you go. And you actually don't have to worry about it shredding all the way down. And because it's a special nylon, it kind of like sears and cauterizes the ends of it for you. Alright, we're going to do it to the other side of the shoe here. Again, screwdriver, lighter, heat it up on the end. And here till it's piping hot. It should slide right through the nylon of the shoe. Up like butter. And right through, just like that. You kind of see the holes. Alright, now do it to your other shoe and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so now that you have all 4 holes in the shoe, actually on both shoes, I want you to take note of this nice little threaded square right here that we have, and this is how we're going to kind of line up where the zip ties are going to go in and how you're going to fold this over and have it symmetric on each shoe. So you're going to take it and fold it in half as if it were a triangle, and when you do that, you can see that the threads right here on the very bottom where it connects to the toe box, that's where it's going to fold in half, and you kind of want it pressed in all the way against it. And as you can see here, now this is where the eyelet comes into play of why we had to remove it, so that otherwise it wouldn't have bent and be able to hold this nice position that we're looking for. So we're going to get our zip ties, and we're going to insert them and tie them down. Alright, so I'm grabbing my zip ties, and I'm kind of particular about this. So since you're folding the shoe inward like that, and that's where the pressure is going, I want to follow the direction of the eyelet fold. So I want to take my zip tie, and I'm going to want the pressure of the zip tie going this direction, following the flow of the fold. So therefore I'm going in the bottom corner, there we go, I got it. And I'm going to take that zip tie and I'm going to tie it so it goes in this direction. And also, I kind of want to hide these big plastic square pieces, the lock mechanism, because I don't want that on the outside where when I'm doing tricks, decks, or anything, that thing's going to hit me in the goddamn leg when I'm doing bar flies or some shit, and it's going to hurt like hell. Or just cut me. I kind of learned that from my wire wrap method, in fact. But this seems to be a lot easier too. So remember, we're going to take that corner, fold it all the way in so it hits the inside right there. Take this zip tie and kind of pull it down, not entirely snug yet, just to kind of hold it in position because we're going to put the other one in. The other one, found the hole, that was easy. Zip tie, put it on there, and I'm going to kind of line this up on the back side with my fingers. I'm kind of feeling it a little bit and folding it over to look at it. There we go. Perfect. And also pulling this one in a little bit, getting it kind of snug, not entirely taut, just because I want to make sure I have it lined up in the perfect position or whatever's comfortable for myself. Okay, now that we've gone ahead and modded each pair of shoes, we have 4 zip ties in this one and 4 in this shoe as well. What you need to do now is consider, say when you lace them up, how you want to put them on. Also, these little lock ends for the zip tie, when you have your shoes on tight or whatever, you don't want them digging into your foot, pushing down too hard like that. So really just put your laces on, take them, twist them around a little bit, try to find out the perfect position for them to stay down without being in your foot or sticking out, so that when you're doing tricks you don't cut yourself, your legs, thigh, or calf, because that ultimately sucks. So I'm going to lace mine up here in a second and then we'll see the final product. Alright, now that your levers are all laced up and ready to go, all you need to do is one more thing. Take these zip ties, and because they may have like a little bit of a sharp edge, all you have to do is kind of rotate them inward. Hopefully they don't poke your feet too much. Rotate them outward, whatever suits you the best. Again, I think if you have them too far on the outside, they may cause you to end up kicking or cutting yourself, possibly. But what I do to help mitigate any of the sharp edges on the inside is I take a lighter to the edge of the plastic right there, heat it up really well, and kind of just allow it to cool with a nice soft edge around there. And that should just take care of the problem. Alright, now I got my shoes on. I have them completely adjusted. I have my zip ties facing the perfect spot to where they don't bother me at all. And you can see the eyelets are still there. No cuts, no permanent damage. Just enough sidewall for a little protection. And additionally, it's not going to inhibit any pixies, fairies, or any toe sets. Alright, well that's pretty much the end of the tutorial. Hopefully it wasn't hard to follow. It was clear, concise, to the point, and not too long or wordy for anything you guys need to know. And easy to follow, honestly. So that pretty much wraps everything up. And before I go, I want to say thanks to my boy Tom Kosakos from the Chicago Footbag Club. He's the one that inspired me to do the wire wrap mod many years ago, in fact. And then I implemented it into my own way and finally got out there to put this video. So thanks again, bud. Cheers.